Hey, happy Friday, everybody. I haven't done a video in a while. I've been super busy, also kind of getting over some kind of nasty cold, so forgive me if there's a little bit of hacking and coughing and whatnot going on up in here. So anyway, what I wanted to kind of do is I kind of wanted to have a little bit of a conversation that is going to be, how do I say this in the correct way? Somewhat controversial, okay? Because what this is going to do, wow, this is like the centrist in me is really going to come out in this one. Let's just leave it at that, okay? In a very large way, the centrist in me is going to come out very deeply in this video, okay? So, what I'm going to start with is the premise of this is a topic that we all have something to say about. Okay? Every single person has something to say about this. And it's the firearm debate in the US. It's the firearm debate in the US. To regulate or not to regulate. Now, a lot of people are going to say, well, it's already regulated. Yeah, I would say that, in my great state of California, it's very heavily regulated, But really, what this is going to be is this is going to be me disagreeing with both sides. Because let me tell you, I have disagreements with both sides. There is no question in my mind that I have disagreements with both sides of this argument. I know I'm not the only one that has disagreements with both sides of this argument, but let's get into it. So, we will start with my disagreements with let's find a good word to coin here. Second Amendment, Second Amendment absolutionists. We've all heard of First Amendment absolutionists. Musk, excuse me. But let's go with Second Amendment absolutionists. And I don't think I need to explain to most people what that ultimately means, because I think most people know what that means and don't need to be explained on what that means. Somebody who doesn't look at it and think, oh yeah, there's there's things about that are here and there's things about that aren't here. This is somebody that looks at it and says, yeah, that means I can do whatever I want. I'm not going to do the thing where I go into the Constitution because I've already done videos about that and so have 100 million other YouTubers. So I'm not going to go into that. There's no point. Let's not do it. But we all know what the Constitution is. We all know how it's framed. We all know what it actually means. So let's stick with that. So again, starting with where I disagree with Second Amendment absolutionists. We live in a civilized society, okay? There are situations where you have to do things. Like, it's really, at the end of the day, oh man, I don't think I can be nice. I really just don't. I really just don't think I can be nice here. And trust me, for all of those you that are going to be in the comments section, I'm not going to be nice to the other side either. All right? So, I'm going to try to be nice, but it's hard. Okay? It's like these folks think that they can do whatever they want. It's almost kind of like they're sovereign citizens. You think the rules don't apply to you. You think you can drive around without a license. You think you can drive around without car registration. You think all of these things that you can just go do and it's not going to make a difference. Yeah, that's not how that works. Okay, so well, a lot of these people, they do think that. They think they should be allowed to carry a gun wherever they want. They think that nobody should be able to regulate that. That, you know, and trust me, when we get into the other side, I'll be saying some things, but let's just stick with this for right now. It is ridiculous to think that way, because you don't live in a world where that's going to work. If anything, there needs to be restrictions to keep the wrong kind of people from doing things that they shouldn't do, because they can't be trusted to do those things in any type of safe way. And, you know, of all of the YouTube that I've watched on guns, the one thing that is consistent across all of it is the safety. So I am not talking about your backcountry yokel frickin' gun tuber guys that are shooting shotguns in the middle of the woods. No, those guys are cool. I'm not talking about them, okay? I'm not. I'm not talking about them. They might have some things to say that I might have disagreed with at one point, but this is not for them. This is not about them. This is about the comment that I see so much on gun content on every platform. Oh, all gun laws are infringements. You don't know how this works, do you? Folks that say things like that don't have a concept or understanding of how this works. Because that's not how that works at all. Not how that works at all. Okay? It's ludicrous. That's the only word that I can really come up with to describe that. It's a ludicrous thing to say. Now, to be fair, when we get into the other side, there are plenty of laws that are absolutely infringements. There's plenty of those, okay? So that's the one comment that I wanted to really bring up, that I'm just like, you don't know. That's not, no. There's going to be regulation. You're going to have to jump through some hoops to get things that are, you know, a gun. Like, you know, we all had to do it. I had to do it. All 13 that I own had to do it with. So I don't really think that that's the way to look at stuff. I think that that's just an ignorant perspective coming from people that are extremely ignorant to how things work in a civilized society. And that's what I'm really going to say about that. Okay? Another thing is when we go with this, oh, they're just going to take our guns. How long has that been being said? How long? Oh, wait. I'm sure someone in the comments will be able to say, you guys, go ahead. Give me some years, some numbers that you think, or shit, that you Googled how long that's been being said. Because it hasn't happened. The only gun confiscations that I know of were Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans, which was definitely not something that was good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not even going to get into that, but that wasn't a good thing. And then things where, you know, a convicted felon, you know, has to give up their guns because that's the way the law works. Also have my qualms with that. We're not going to get into that in this video, but so that's another one. I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again, and I know there's going to be some some big feelings in the comment section on this one, guys, but I'm going to say it anyway. 8 years of Barack Obama with a filibuster-proof Senate and House, and they didn't take anyone's guns. Curious. How does that work? And there you have it. Before anyone gets in the comments and starts trying to make, well, where's your proof and argument? That's the only proof that I need for that. Because if it was going to happen, it would have happened within those 8 years. And 8 years is a long time for them to freaking come up with a way to figure that one out. Okay? So, it's not a real thing. It's just another talking point used to get people all losing their minds and riled up about something. Okay? Anyway, so let's move on to the other side. This one's going to be a little, I don't want to say spicier, but there's going to be a little bit more to it. Okay, so no one needs an AR-15. First of all, why in the ever-living fuck do you think that it's any of your business what someone else thinks they need? That's the number one argument that I'm going to make there. Because it's not. And the fact that you're concerning yourself with it is the part that's the largest problem with that, okay? I've voiced on other videos my opinion about AR-15s. I don't find them to be particularly interesting. I'm more of a lever action guy, and like, you know, M1As and other types of semi-automatic rifles and firearms. I'm just not into ARs. It's not my thing. I don't fault anyone for being into them though. And I don't think that it matters. And I don't think that banning so-called assault weapons needs to be anyone's priority. Okay? So that's number one. Number two, restricting access to firearms is going to stop mass shootings. A word that there's all kinds of flaws with. All kinds of flaws. Okay? It's not. Sorry to tell you, it won't. I will not get into what the problem is, at least from what I think in this video, but I will tell you that that's not going to solve fuck all. It's not. And let's go ahead and debunk any arguments using other countries as an example. Oh, Jesus. This one always, I have a lot of fun with this. So the two countries that are used as an example the most are the UK and Australia. I don't remember the date or the year, but in the 90s, there was a mass shooting. Sorry, forgot to do the quotes on that one. In Australia, that positioned the country to ban civilians from owning firearms without a permit. Okay? And you can get a permit to hunt. You can get a permit to carry a handgun in Australia under certain circumstances. Off-duty law enforcement, the spouse and family of law enforcement. You can find this stuff on the internet. I'm not going to go into it. But I want to be very clear that firearms are not banned for civilian ownership completely. You just need to do things to get it. Which I see absolutely zero problem with in those countries. Do I think that's going to work in the US with the population that we have? No, I don't. And also, I'm going to be very clear when I say that those countries don't have a Second Amendment written into their constitution. So, yeah, that's not... And again, as I just stated in the flip reverse here, the Second Amendment's not absolute. I'm not saying that it is. But it does stop certain things from happening. And it will continue to as long as courts continue to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America. Okay? So, that being said, now we're going to kind of switch gears into something a little more like, that has a little bit more to do with the laws themselves and not people's opinions about it and people's super arrogant and sometimes ignorant opinions about it. Okay, we'll downshift again real quick before we go into that. Where I'm going with that last part of the conversation there about the ignorance and the arrogance is people voting for things they don't understand being implemented by people that know absolutely nothing about how the firearms industry works, about how a firearm works, about how gun safety works. I mean, you name it. This is the kind of stuff that's going on in multiple states in the United States of America. Anyway, which I take issue with all of that. Where I'm going to go now is the gun laws themselves and the entirety of pretty much the origin of so-called gun control in this country and where it comes from. And I'm going to be very clear. I'm not an expert on this, but you can find this stuff all over the internet. Okay? The most common one that people use to kind of get this point across, I'll get into in a minute, but where I'm going with this is how gun regulation across this country disproportionately affects low-income minorities. Okay? First of all, let's start with the simple fact, and this is a great one because this always it feeds into certain people's perception of places like Southside Chicago, specifically. Oh, there's just a bunch of gangsters shooting each other all the time, and it's the Wild West, and No, but it's definitely not a safe place at any given, all the time, okay? And the kind of people that live there, ones that aren't shooting at each other, might want to be able to defend themselves against those people that are shooting at each other and maybe them, right? And Illinois has some of the most boneheaded gun laws of any state. Straight up. I mean, it's pretty astounding. I could get into it, but it's not really that big of a deal for this one, so we're not going to do it. I mean, it is a big deal, but it's not something I'm going to get into now. But so that's the great argument to use, Southside Chicago. But it is absolutely true. Backed up with data and facts that you can find on the interwebs. That gun control laws, specifically in places like Illinois, Chicago specifically, disproportionately make it more difficult for low-income people of color to get firearms to defend themselves. Okay? That's one. Another thing is that the way these gun laws are made and voted on don't represent a good portion of the population's opinion and how they feel about it. And it's not a good thing. This is not the way the legislative process is supposed to work with anything. And what happens is these things get streamlined and pushed through under the guise of public safety, which is, rubbish. Okay? It's rubbish. It just is. And I don't agree with that. And, where I was going to go next with this is one of the other things that is very well known. California, my home state, and the state that I still live in, that I'm coming to you live right now from, I might add. pretty much the entirety of gun control in this state has racist origins. Because most of it started when Mr. Reagan himself decided he didn't want the Black Panthers being able to open carry. And that's what banned open carry in California, and everything just kind of, really just kind of spiraled from there, dude. Excuse me. And it just became what it is now. And it's, excuse me, guys. Sorry about that. So that is really the gist of this video, and what I really wanted to get across is simply just that, I disagree with both sides on this argument a lot. And there's just, I know it kind of makes it look like I disagree with the anti-gun side a little bit more, but that's just because there's more stuff going on that side. The other side is very much just a lot of talking heads and a lot of squabbling and a lot of this and that and the next thing. Anyway, guys, I just wanted to kind of come out here and say that stuff. Please let me know what you think down in the comments. Love to hear from you guys. Also, if you're not already subscribed, please do that. Hit the bell also for notifications when I drop new videos. It's the best way to support me on this platform. I'm going to go ahead and close this one out, and I will see you guys next time.